part of the richness of this piece is that it's really veiled in a lot of ambiguity. It is at the same time cute as it is creepy. It represents the natural with jungle-like, snake-like tendrils, kind of plant-like reaching for each other, but also it's both sweet and harrowing to me. And I think that's what makes it so complex and beautiful. My name is Jamie Burgess. I'm a development officer on the Major Gifts team here at the Museum of Modern Art. This work is called The Impossible 3 by Brazilian artist Maria Martins, and it was created in 1946. This is a piece that has resonated with me, perhaps more so than any other work in the museum. If I could take home any item, it might be this. The more I look at it, the more I engage with it, more nuance is gained, greater insight is learned each time I perceive this work. For me, I think this presents a story of a relationship, perhaps a romantic one, and a question that kind of pops up for me when looking at this work. It's one that was posited by Martins herself, and she said, "It is nearly impossible to make people understand each other." And many think that is kind of the source of this work. I think that's an interesting question to keep in mind as we look at this. Starting from the ground up, we see these rather bulbous, smooth, round little bodies of these creatures. It's actually quite grounded, and it's quite calm, and it's in sort of the mood it evokes. And it's not until we move up towards what could be described as the heads of these little creatures that the tone really shifts dramatically to one that's more dramatic and perhaps virulent. There's this depiction of force that is really unusual to see, especially in a sculpture that is so static. There's this depiction of movement, one of both opposition and attraction. You see them sort of interlocked in this embrace, and I perceive even these kind of tentacles as mouths. Maybe this is more of a verbal altercation. That's when things go wrong. There's both an attraction to each other, these little creatures, and also an opposition. There's a yearning to connect to each other, perhaps to attack each other, but also a repelling kind of force that moves the two apart. They're not quite able to meet in the way that they're striving to. So this is a very kind of resonating depiction of moments in a relationship. While she was making this work in 1946, she was married to the Brazilian ambassador for the US here. But likewise, she was engaging in a bit of a romance with fellow artist and surrealist Marcel Duchamp. Maybe this kind of gives insight to how she was viewing these dynamics with the men in her life. That's how she viewed her relationships in sort of this impossible to quite reach each other. I really encourage you to come take a look at this piece when you visit MoMA next. I think the placement of this is entirely intentional and very interesting in that it is the first thing you see when you walk into the fourth floor collection galleries. And maybe this idea that Martins is hearkening, it's impossible to make each other understand one another. Maybe that exists as you're entering as strangers. And perhaps as you walk through the galleries, you might leave the collection floor feeling a bit more connected. Perhaps the possibility of understanding another becomes that much more in reach.